Welcome back, Dolph fans. Today we're going to be talking. I haven't made a Tua video, and it's been a minute. I think I've tried to maybe steer clear of that a little bit just because people are kind of annoying. So this year, I truly believe that Tua is going to have his best year. And there's a couple of reasons behind why I could see that happening. And the first reason that I'm going to tell you right now, Tua, since he's been in the league, has had one of the worst offensive lines consistently every single year. And we only saw a dimension of Tua one time, and it was basically back, I think, like 2 years ago when we had Connor Williams, Teron Armstead, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, and who was the left guard? Forgot the left guard. Can't remember the left guard, but at that moment in time, it was the beginning of the season, and we had one of the better offensive lines to start that season. I think it was like the first 3 games, and Tua looked, the best he's ever looked. One of the things that I have to say is people consistently want to, compete with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. We have to understand about, I think more considerably to Joe Burrow than Justin Herbert, just because, everybody wants to say that we should have picked Justin Herbert. I don't see it in him as a quarterback. I know we're probably going to get a bunch of crazy comments for me saying that. I don't see it in Justin Herbert. I just see a dude like what we all said him coming out of college, where, yeah, he has a rocket arm, but for the most part, he doesn't really have that, anticipation. He doesn't have that, drive as a quarterback, and I know, again, a lot of people are going to probably hate what I'm saying right now, but I just don't see it from Justin Herbert. And I think we see it every time, it comes to the playoffs or whatever it is, that he just doesn't seem to have it, and other quarterbacks seem to take advantage of that. Joe Burrow, 100%. I like Joe Burrow a lot. But what I want to tell you is that Joe Burrow, when he was going to the Super Bowl, if we consider these last 2 years with Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa, considerably, Tua has lost less games than Joe Burrow. And honestly, typically they throw similar amounts of interceptions. I think people give a pass to Joe Burrow all the time. And if you look at his stats, there are games where he throws 3 interceptions. Yes, he brings them back, but there are games where he throws 3 interceptions. And what that's telling you, and what people don't want to consider, is those games that he throws 3 interceptions. This last year, obviously, as you can see, they did not make the playoffs. But typically, their defense has been pretty good. When you throw 3 interceptions and you can still win a game, that's because your defense stops teams. The problem this last year, he didn't have a good defense. So now him throwing those types of interceptions, they're not the same. So I can't even speak. Tua, the injury proneness is the problem. The play from Tua is not the problem. We want to consider, the Houston games and those types of games. But what people don't want to get off the microscope from is looking at what happens in those games. Why does Tua look awesome in these games and not in those games? And there's a big problem. When he's playing other teams that don't have a pass rush, because I think that's what we're trying to, analyze here. The teams that typically beat up on the Miami Dolphins are the ones that have defensive fronts and offensive fronts. But typically the Dolphins' defensive front has kind of resoundingly usually been better than the offensive line. So it's teams that have defensive fronts. And why they beat us up so badly is because typically throughout Tua's tenure, we have the worst offensive line. So when we play worse teams tend to not have a pass rush, or tend to have 1 or maybe 2 players where you can scheme up to take them out of the play for your play to work. But the really good teams, the playoff teams, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 guys that can rush the passer. So what ends up happening in those games is the offensive line is garbage, and the pass rushers get one-on-one plays on our offensive linemen, and you have players like Jackson Carman, Liam Eichenberg, whatever it is, and they get one-on-one on them, and they beat them every single time. So what Tua ends up having is, instead of having the typical, which is crazy to me, 2 seconds to throw the ball, Tua has 1 second to throw the ball every time he gets the ball. I mean, there are some plays when you look at Tua playing these types of teams that he literally snaps the ball, takes a two-step drop, and there's someone in his face already, which is not a normal thing. I don't know if people, watch other NFL quarterbacks, even watch Josh Allen or, Lamar Jackson. Typically, most of the time, they have like 3, sometimes 4 seconds to stand back there and look around the field. Tua, literally, when he plays these types of teams, hikes the ball and there's someone in his face. So the reason why I think he's going to have a breakout season, the play was never, I think people just like to hate Tua. I think it's just a thing now, and as a Dolphins fan, we've gotten used to it, where it's like, oh, here we go, we drafted Quinn Ewers, he's going to be the starter this year, even though, like, fell to the 7th round. Zach Wilson's going to be the starter this year. And people don't consider that some of the stats that Tua has, like QB rating and accuracy and pinpoint accuracy, like in dimensions of how close it is to the receiver versus, defenders, he's literally ranked with like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. First Pro Bowl quarterback we've had in a very long time. The accuracy is great. Again, the only thing that the problem is the injury history. That's the only problem, is that if he stays healthy, he's fine. The play, I'm not worried about. So this year, when you have the offensive line, I totally lost track of what I was saying. Yeah, so this year, what they've decided to do, which the Dolphins have built from the outside in, instead of from the inside out. And what a lot of successful teams have done is built from the inside out. So basically what I mean by that is they built from Tyreek Hill and, signing all of these free agent players for the offense, and then kind of tried to supplement a couple things on the offensive line. The defense, they tried to sign corners and safeties and all that, and then tried to like supplement on the defensive line. Whereas this year, what they've done is they built from the defensive line out, where you're trying to get the trenches first and then, fill in with players on the outside. So what we've done with that now is, again, this is all on the prayer that this offensive line stays healthy, but this is going to be one of the best offensive lines that Tua has had for a very long time. Since that 2022 season, in the beginning of that season, this is going to be one of the best offensive lines that we've had. And what that brings is, again, when Tua is playing playoff teams, because he's typically good against every other team. People are saying we're going to go like 5 and whatever. Tua beats regular teams because he has enough time to throw. The problem is when he plays the best teams, he doesn't have any time to throw the ball. And we can even say this with Tom Brady. When you sped Tom Brady up, he got antsy and he started throwing interceptions. It happens the same thing with every single quarterback except Tua. Instead of having 2, and that's a short amount of time to throw, Tua's average time to throw is 2 seconds. So he has 1 second to get the ball out. With this season, you're having a good offensive line, possibly a top 10 offensive line. It's going to be the best offensive line that Tua's had if they all stay healthy. Because again, love Teron Armstead, but you're getting 10, 12 games out of him, and then you got to mix up the lineup. It's one of those things where now we can possibly have a much more consistent offensive line this coming season, and top 10 possibly to go throughout the season. And what that's going to do for Tua is, and why I think he's going to break out this season, is because he's going to have more time to throw. He's going to have more time than he's ever had to throw the ball and analyze the field. And this year, on top of all the things, he's not going to be funneling the ball to Tyreek Hill. He's going to be able to go through his reads. I mean, if you watch Tua the past couple years, it kind of like lessened towards the end of this last season, or towards this season, kind of midway when we started facing the Cardinals. Is throughout the couple of seasons that we've had Tyreek Hill, it just seemed like Tua had to look over to Tyreek every single time. And of course, you have a good receiver, you want to look that way, but what it seemed like is similarly to Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, where it's like you have to throw him the ball or else he's going to cry about it, instead of being able to go through all your reads and find the open guy. And what I think is going to be the difference this year is Jalen Waddle's not going to be that dude that cries about not getting the ball. Tua is going to be able to go through all his reads, going to be able to look at the defense and understand that, hey, Malik Washington's going to be open this play. So I don't have to look at Tyreek Hill. I don't have to immediately, he's not the first read every single time. Maybe the first read's Malik Washington. Maybe the first read's Waddle. Maybe the first read is Jonnu, He's going to be able to read defenses better and have more time to throw the ball. And that's going to be the key to having this breakout season. I don't think, I think honestly the potential to grow it's there, but I think he's already kind of gotten what he's going to be as a quarterback. Just needs a better team around him, because Tua already wins. If you look at the losses for each one of these quarterbacks that you want to talk about, Justin Herbert has the most losses with I think like 40 something. Joe Burrow has like 30 something, and Tua has like 20 something. But if you combine the teams that these guys have had, they're typically great teams. Tua has always had like kind of like a mediocre team, and he's always won with them, and that's the biggest thing here. He's going to have a good offensive line, and he's going to have a much better built team to succeed in 2025. And like I said, when he has the offensive line, he's going to be able to play against these playoff teams and get time to throw the ball. And I know I'm probably going to get all these comments in the comment section, Tua sucks, this, that, and the other thing. But it's just the reality of the situation. And, again, if he goes down, then yeah, we have to get another quarterback. But for the most part, I can see with this offensive line, the way that they're building it, the way that they're having this structure. And, we'll talk about a trade maybe for like Michael Mayer or something like that. Tua's going to have much more time to throw the ball, and when we play playoff teams, we're going to have a better shot because Tua's going to have much more time to throw the ball. And, people seem to forget, like we played the Bills this last season, and Tua rocked them, like if the defense played any bit up to the standard, we win that game, and even if we win that game, I feel like people would just say it wasn't Tua that did it for us, even though Tua was basically perfect. Like I even went into PFF and looked at the grade for that game. Tua threw 0 interceptions and had like 3 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure, and like 280 yards or 300 yards. And even then, PFF had like a 70 grade on that game, which is like ridiculous against a Buffalo Bills defense in their house. So again, it's not like Tua can't do it. It's just when we play these types of teams, we typically have all backup offensive linemen, and Tua can't throw the ball. It's what happened in Houston. You have all these pass rushers that get one-on-ones. Tua has no time to throw the ball. If you watch that game, he's literally trying to chuck off people from his feet to get the ball off. So this year, I'm telling you right now, with this offensive line staying healthy and him staying healthy, he's going to have a breakout year. Probably similar to the last couple of years, but we're going to be able to compete against playoff teams. And that's just going to be the way it's going to be. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I know I'm going to receive a lot of comments for this. But yeah, I think he's going to have his best year just based on the fact that he will have time against like a Houston or a Buffalo or any of those teams. He's not going to have 1 second to throw the ball. Green Bay, when we get to those colder climate areas, he's going to be able to hold the ball for 2 seconds and analyze the field, pick who he's trying to throw to, and not just funnel the ball to Tyreek Hill. And it's going to make this team, I'm sorry to say this, it's probably going to make this team a much better team this coming year, just overall prospectively, because we've built in the trenches, and that's what Tua has always needed. Like and subscribe if you like this video. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Fins up, baby. Love you all. Peace.